who have come together here with a short notice. And thank you for inviting me to talk to you today about something that is very, very important to me, and that is the environment. Now, the reason why I say environment is because a lot of people say climate change. But it's really not just about climate change, because climate change is something that's going to happen down the line, and we are seeing already effects happening right now. But it's going to get worse and worse, and when it's really going to hit, and we're going to see the real effects, it's going to be maybe 30 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now. But that's one problem, to think about the future. But what about the day? Right now, today, because of pollution, we are killing 7 million people. And for some reason or the other, environmentalists have a little problem with communicating, because they never talk about it. Even our president, when he holds a speech about the environment, he talks about climate change. And of course, during my time when I was governor, we had an administration that was a conservative administration. Now, my administration was a conservative administration, but my administration didn't believe in getting stuck in ideological corners. So even though I'm a conservative, that doesn't mean I have to get stuck in a conservative idea. I have to go and be more open-minded and say to myself, what is best for the people? Because I'm not a party servant, but I'm a people servant. I'm a public servant. So therefore, some people would call something a democratic idea, some a Republican idea. I didn't get into that. I said, what is the people's idea? What's the best for the people? And this is exactly what we did. We moved the agenda forward, and California, therefore, is now 40% more energy efficient than the rest of the country. And as I said, we had the federal government that was conservative, and they didn't want to work with us on a lot of issues. But even though they didn't want to work with us on a lot of issues, we went ahead and did it anyway. And this is where the idea comes from, the power of subnational governments, which means that you don't have to wait for the federal government, you don't have to wait for the national government until they make up their mind and get their act together. We believe that California can do it, that our cities in California can do it, and we've proven it. And every time that the federal government was in our way, we sued them. When we said that greenhouse gases is a pollutant, and we got to cut down on greenhouse gas emissions and make our cars more energy efficient, all of the car manufacturers in the world have taken California and me to court, and they sued me. Of course, they lost. But then the federal government was siding with them. They said, yeah, greenhouse gases is really not a pollutant. You cannot control your own air in California. And so we said, well, it is a pollutant. We can control our own destiny in California. And we went to court and sued them. And when we won, then they took it to the next higher court, and we won again. And then they took it to the next higher court, and we won again. And then they took it to the Supreme Court of the United States, and the Supreme Court was very clear and said, yes, greenhouse gases are a pollutant. Well, duh. How much brain power does it take to figure that one out, right? I suggested, of course, right away, with my big mouth, that we're going to go and connect those power additions to the exhaust pipe and turn on the engine, and let's figure out how long it takes them to figure out it's a pollutant, right? So that was the easier method, but that's not the way it works in government. Okay? I can say that now, but in those days it would be more restrained. But the bottom line is we went ahead and did our thing. And we won, and we then now came up with laws, with the Green Building Initiative, with our renewables. We are now in California 35% of renewables. By the year 2020, we will be almost at 50% of renewables. We have the low carbon fuel standard, where we, by law, take out the carbon content of our fuels. And of course, we have AB 32, which is where we have made a commitment to reducing our greenhouse gases by 25% by the year 2020, and by 85% by the year 2050. So we did this as a subnational government, not as a national government. And we are right on target with all of the things. So obviously, in 2011, January 4th of 2011, my 2 terms as governor was over. but it does not mean that my passion for the environment is over. It's not over at all. As a matter of fact, as you can see here, I'm talking about it here in Johannesburg. I'm not here really for the environment, I'm here for the Arnold Classic. The Arnold Classic International Sports and Fitness Festival, which we have now in 6 different continents. And this is all about another passion of mine, which is to promote health and fitness all over the world. I've been doing this for the last 45 years. I was once a competitive bodybuilder and won all the world championships, Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia, Mr. World, and all those things. But they didn't want, and actually I should tell you because she's here, Chinese is here. And Chinese, you want to get up for a second, Chinese? Wow. This is the daughter of Reg Park. And Reg Park was my idol. I would have never trained, never would have become a world champion if I wouldn't have had him as the idol that won 3 Mr. Universe competitions, and he lived right here in Johannesburg. And he had his gymnasium on 42 Kirk Street in Johannesburg. Okay? This is his starter. So that's why I started training. And it is a partnership between government and the private sector. It's a wonderful partnership. And but since I'm here and promoting health and fitness, I said to myself, why not do a little bit of synergy? And then also take this invitation from you and talk to the mayors. So I am so delighted today to talk to all of you, because you all are the champions. I heard that you are the most passionate about the environment, and this is what is so important. And I think that you said that earlier, that the action is on the local level. Because the fact of the matter is we are reducing in America almost 80% of the greenhouse gases and the pollutants are reduced on a local level. Not on the national level, on the local level. And this is why it is so important for you all to think about the amount of power that you have in order to create this action. But I can tell you that you're not going to be successful if you don't include the people, if you don't communicate with the people. The reason why we are 40% more energy efficient than the rest of the country, the rest of the United States in California, is because we included the people. The people are our partners. We have to communicate with the people and tell them why it is important. And that every single time that you talk to the people, that you have to let them know what can they do. What can they do in order to really reduce our greenhouse gases? Here's the technology when it comes to energy, here's the technology when it comes to cars, here's what you can do with your garbage, here's what you can do with your waste, and all of this stuff. We have to let the people know so that they work with you and become your partners. That's when you can become successful. That's the most important thing. In Africa, let me tell you, you have such an unbelievable opportunity, because you can do the same thing with energy as you already have done with cell phones. All over the continent of Africa, they don't have to lay any more landlines so that you can make a phone call. It's all cell. So you went way ahead and didn't make the same mistakes of laying landmine lines through the whole continent. And you can do the same thing with the transmission lines. You don't have to have the transmission lines like we have in America and in Europe and all over the world. You can leapfrog ahead and go and say, let's have solar and create the energy on a local level. There's no reason when I fly with a helicopter over any of your cities that not all the warehouses shouldn't be covered with solar. We are doing that in California. We have the Million Solar Roof Initiative that I started, which was highly successful. People want to put action into their own home and in their warehouse and all that. You have to give them the opportunity, you have to show leadership. You have to include the people in that. So you can leapfrog, because remember, there's transmission lines, you lose around 15 to 20% of energy anyway there. So you reduce automatically 15 to 20% of greenhouse gases of pollutants if you go with that technology. So there's so many things that you can do, and the R20 that you've heard about is an organization that I started after I was finished with my governorship. Like I said, my passion continues. And the R20 is all about teaching local governments of what they can do in order to move the agenda forward. What can they do to reduce greenhouse gases? And how can they connect? Because there's so much information out there, every day new information about the latest of the latest technology or the latest of the latest policies. We didn't create the policy of the environmental, of the reductions of greenhouse gases. Tony Blair came to California and he told me all about what they did in England and what they did in Europe. I copied him. And not only did I copy him, but he told me the mistakes that they made. And I learned from his mistakes. So we have to teach each other, we have to kind of help each other. So we have to set up the most sophisticated kind of internet system where you can go and let us know what needs do you have. And we can share all of the technology with you, all the latest of the policies, the laws, the way England has done it, the way Germany has done it, the way California has done it, the way New York has done it. I mean, it's all available. You don't have to redesign the wheel, you just copy. And we are there, the R20 is there to help you in every step of the way, to show you exactly what is available. So any questions about any of that? You see how smart you are? I have no questions. I love it. Well, thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it, and good luck.